All right, it's Friday afternoon, and the OpenC3 team is here together, and we're going to talk about our most recent 6.4 and 6.41 releases. Lots of kind of cool stuff going on in the releases, and everybody's got something I think they wanted to share. I wanted to kind of hit the kind of the main highlight for the release, which was the fact that we added Goto to Script Runner, which is unheard of because it's something that I have fought adding to Cosmos for the past 19 years, and now suddenly we have Goto in Script Runner. What does that mean? Well, that means when I run my script, so like over here in Script Runner right now, if I hit start, now while we're running, I can interact and everything can be all happy. But let's say I pause and my script gets paused. Well, now you can do a couple things that we couldn't do prior to this release. One of which is you can say, hey, I actually want to come back here and I want to rerun this code. So I can just highlight it, right click and say execute selection. And then now I can rerun those two lines. Super useful if something goes wrong later in your script and you need to go back and execute something again. Just maybe it just didn't work the first time. You need to do it again. Well, I can highlight, run those couple lines, and then I'm back right where I would. So it's kind of like a temporary go-to, execute a selection while I'm paused. But there's also traditional go-to, where, you know what, I just want to jump over there and do something again. So I can click that same line, hit right-click and say go-to line, and now I'm actually running from that line, and I'm just running straight forward on my script. I didn't just do a little selection. I'm running everything forward. So that's kind of the full-featured, I'm running a script, and I need to jump back and jump around, jump up, and get down. I can do that with Goto in my script now without any problems at all. So that's kind of the exciting new feature. There's also a Goto keyword. So if you're in your script, you wanted to like go to line 10, we did add that as well. I don't recommend it really because that's going to just lead to bad programming practices. We do use modern programming languages with Cosmos. We have Python and Ruby. So it's better to stick to things like loops and ifs and function calls and regular control flow. But there is also a go-to keyword, and you can check out our docs for that if you want to check it out.
So Ryan, this seems pretty useful. Why 19 years to get here?
It's 19 years because Goto is bad practice. I think Jason wanted to hit into this a bit.
I did because I actually got, as soon as we released those release notes, I got an email from a colleague. Go to, are you guys kidding? Did you sell out? So much so that I thought it was funny, and I wrote a entire blog post about it on our news site. Because with great power comes great responsibility, and I talk about the pros and cons of GoTo. But honestly, it's like a customer really wanted, help with debugging scripts, and it does really make sense in that context. Just don't write your scripts with GoTo, like Ryan said. So yeah, I think it's going to be really useful in like AINT, where a lot of our customers are using Cosmos. So another cool feature that we finally added in Cosmos 6.4 was the ability to parse our old Cosmos 4 bin files. So I added the ability to parse the old bin files and documented our file interface that allows you to pull those things in. So that's also in 6.4.
Very cool. Are people still using Cosmos 4 that they're still generating new bin files?
Unfortunately, there are some people still using Cosmos 4, which is not only a security risk, but technology-wise, I mean, there's so many cool features in 5 and 6. You really just need to upgrade. And it's not that hard. All the config files are the same as they were before. We're packaging them up differently, but just come along for the ride and get all the new security updates and awesome features that Cosmos 6 has.
Sweet. Well, as we're going through here, I will call out. So I don't get to spend much time in the code. Sad guy. I spend a lot of time in contracts. That's fun too. But I do see a lot of the support emails that come through. And we did have some folks who are kind of poking at our basically how we handle certificates and some of the encryption and that kind of thing. And I think we went through all those emails, all those pieces of feedback, and we actually really built out the documentation around that. So Ryan, I think that's what you're showing here.
Yeah, so we in our docs section, we had an SSL TLS section before, but it was not it was more about using OpenSSL than actually using Cosmos and getting it configured for certificates correctly. And so I rewrote this page to hit really the concepts too. Like SSL is actually an old term. That was the original, web HTTPS encryption technology was SSL. Currently, it's TLS, and we're on TLS 1.3, which is like the fourth major revision of TLS, and that's the modern security. But people still use those terms interchangeably, and so that's something I talked about in this as well. Is like, how do we configure Cosmos for TLS in this case? How do you get certificates? What is the CA cert file? So that's the big thing that our customers needed more detail on. Was CA cert is the file that captures who the certificate authorities are that you trust, which is normally the list of like people like VeriSign and the various kind of public certificate authority people. And Let's Encrypt is the huge one now that they've got their free service. But as soon as you do private certificates, as soon as you have your own like Active Directory or something else that's giving you certificates, now those aren't public certificate authorities. And so for our containers to trust your certificates, you have to modify the CA cert.pem file so we know about certificate authorities and can correctly accept those TLS certificates without saying, oh no, self-signed certificate, and getting all kinds of weird errors. So how to avoid that, how to modify your SSL and get those certificates working, that's all now really well documented on our website. Well, so this was a big release. We had a whole bunch of different stuff in it. Anything else people want to kind of point out for our listeners?
We've tested and updated our documentation for the integration with the NASA Core Flight System, or CFS, verifying the interoperability with Cosmos 6 and NASA CFS. So check out the documentation if that's something you're interested in. And we've also added a significant amount of code coverage to the command and telem server, script runner API, and schedule API for enterprise users, for our commitment to release stable, predictable, and safe software that is well tested with automation.
So, Clay, if I got this right, this is your first time using CFS, is that right?
This was, yes. But our documentation makes it pretty straightforward to deploy everything. Just everything is Dockerized, so all the deployments make it a very simple process.
Very cool. And just like windage on this, how long did it take you to get CFS like up and running from a flat start?
It was up and running within, I would say, 15 minutes. We've updated the documentation so that a couple of the hiccups have been all addressed. So, if you kind of go through this documentation, you should be up and running within 10 minutes or so.
That's awesome.
All right, I can call out a couple smaller things as well. So we realized that we were kind of overusing tooltips throughout a lot of the application. So we'd have a trash icon on an entity, and you'd mouse over it and immediately it would pop up a little thing that says delete. But I think, most people, that's fairly intuitive, or like the pencil on the table row to edit things. So we've kind of gone through and audited everywhere where we are using those tooltips and kind of removed a lot of them that are, extraneous, not needed. So hopefully that'll help keep the UI a bit less cluttered. And we've had some issues where unnecessary tooltips would cover up other important information you were trying to see. So should overall be a better experience when it comes to those things. And then secondly, so I'll call back to our previous release, 6.3.0, where we added Vim mode to the text editors. And with 6.4.0, I've tweaked that a little bit to add :W to save the file. Should just help with better muscle memory if you're used to working in Vim.
So in addition to 6.4.0, we also released 6.4.1, which fixed a couple of key bugs that we found while we did the 6.4.0 update. We reworked the script stuff with Goto, and then added a lot more script status. In the process of doing that, uncovered a subtle bug. If you have a single line script was executing, we weren't properly closing that script out. So reworked that running and completed script screen here too as well. So we have all the states, the durations. There's a lot of extra information here, and I think that's going to eventually migrate out into the tools for the CLI. So that'll be super useful for running CI/CD pipelines and stuff as well. So while we do the releases 6.3, 6.4 on more of a monthly cadence, when we find issues like this, we're fixing them as soon as possible and doing these point releases. So all users are encouraged to update to all of our latest releases. And we just did this one a week later.
And I didn't hit it earlier when I was talking about Goto, but the script status, both for running scripts and completed scripts, is way more detailed now. And so Jason hit on it, but like you can see how exactly how long the script took to complete, and then you can tell how it completed. Was it stopped earlier? That's what stop means. Did it complete, but were there some kind of error that happened during the script? That's completed with errors. Did it complete just happily and successfully? That's completed. Or was it just blatantly killed because it was kind of off in the weeds for like a whole long time, like this one must have been, and it was just killed when the container restarted or something, it just got killed. So you get a lot more detail on how your script finished and did it finished, right? Right now, these are all completed scripts. I don't have anything running, but if I had running scripts, it'd be over here in the running script.
This is very exciting. I'm glad we got the team together to kind of talk through our 6.4 and 6.41 releases. This is awesome. In fact, doing it on a monthly cadence is super important to our customers, and it's a commitment we make to ourselves, to our customers, to kind of have that regular release cycle. We got a lot more coming up. We're going to be talking about App Store, we're going to talk about Notebook, how we do Gen AI here at OpenC3. Lots of cool stuff coming up. So join us again, and we'll talk to you all soon.
Thanks, everybody.